you look at the budget presentation, look at the debt service. The debt service is almost above capital, 3 point something trillion. Why I say it's embarrassing is for the first 16 or to 25 years back, Nigerian money are looted, keep it, some they put our money like dead bodies in the grave, they buried our money, some they carry our money abroad. Why can't the government make a strong interrogation and investigation team? Call back these people, investigate, bring back our money to implement the budget. We have to stop borrowing because we don't know tomorrow. That is my worry. If you look at an example, an estimate, a woman, a single person, the former petroleum minister, he went with $60 billion. That is 5 years budget. 5 years Nigerian budget, her alone. And there is thousands of her. If there is real investigation, there is thousands like her. So when we investigate, we can spend 20 years, next 20 years, we will not borrow. We will implement budget with our recovered money. So seriously, this government said they are fighting corruption. They are fighting corruption. But I never see fighting corruption. Because we are saying we are fighting corruption, but we are going very slowly, and we are saying by mouth.
Part of what we have been assured by Mr. President is that no honorable minister, permanent secretary, or head of agency would travel during the period of our budget defense. If we will have to suspend plenaries as a National Assembly for us to be able to ensure that we create the time for budget defense, there will be no excuse why any head of agency will not come to the National Assembly to defend their budget. It's not just to defend the budget estimate for 2022. It's also to come and give us a report of the budget performance for 2021, because that's what will determine whether or not any agency deserves to even be appropriated any fund for 2022. So all of this will go together.
Well, there's a lot of prospect and there's a lot of anticipation, again, because everything Mr. President seems to be happening on we hope to, and he mentioned that word hope a couple of times in the course of the presentation. Well, I'm happy that the debt servicing provision is a little better than that of last year, because last year took about 50%, or a little above 50% of the budget. This time, let's see what can be done with the revenue, because we have to assist in ensuring that in our oversight function, that the MDAs are monitored to ensure that there's no revenue leakage, that they're actually bringing their revenue into the general coffers as it ought to be. I think there's hope, but it's not yet uhuru. We're not looking at 80%. A budget, though, is a statement of intention, but we hope to get it 100%. And we are going to ensure in an oversight function that every MDA's, ministry, department, or agency do what they are supposed to do and stay on the executive to ensure, especially those revenue generating agencies, to ensure that they bring the funding, because if there is no money, there's nothing anybody can do. So you must ensure that revenue coming to effect the implementation of the budget as envisaged by Nigerians. We're looking at 100%, that's what it should be.
A lot of countries borrow themselves out of recession. For you to be rich as a country, you have to borrow. You have to put in place infrastructure. They say that a nation that has infrastructure is a rich nation. So Nigeria should do whatever it can to ensure that borrowed funds are used to fund infrastructure. I am happy today that Mr. President also said that the 2021 budget will be funded 100%, and that before the end of his administration, all ongoing infrastructure will be completed. That is good news for Nigerians. It is good news if we complete all the rail projects. It is good news when we complete all the road projects. At the end of the day, it will be for the betterment of our citizens, or citizenry. So we're praying, we should all pray that Mr. President completes this project as said. So once that is done, it will be the end. It will be a new dawn of prosperity for us in Nigeria.
Budget estimates, as read out by Mr. President today, and as will be further enunciated on by the Honorable Minister of Finance, go to show the seriousness of this government in trying to ensure sustainability of the ongoing projects, being implemented by the government. It also shows that the government understands the economic dynamics and the need to continue to spend our way out of recession. It's important that we all appreciate the fact that, yes, the times are hard, but the options we have are either to fold our arms, and just spend the money we have, or to do everything possible by enhancing, income generation, and also looking for other sources of funding, to fund our budget. And that's what takes us to the issue of borrowing. We may choose not to borrow. The National Assembly can tell, the National Assembly can tell the executive arm, don't borrow. But if we don't borrow, that means we are left with only our income. And all we can do is to pay workers' salaries. It then means there is no infrastructural development. No leader will do that. Every other country is borrowing. The question is, what do you do with the money that is being borrowed, and how is it expended? We will do all we can as a National Assembly to ensure that we continue to do our oversight functions in ensuring that monies are spent as appropriated, and that there is constant report on budget performance. We are going to consideration of the 2022 budget, but it's also going to be a condition that every agency of government that comes here to defend the budget give us a full performance report on the implementation of 2021 budget as a condition precedent for you to even get budget 2022 approved, for your agency. So in all of this, we just have to continue to appreciate the fact that the times are hard, and going has become very tough. And as it is said, when the going gets tough, it's the tough that get going. We must find some manner of ingenuity in trying to ensure that we sustain governance, we continue to provide leadership, and the courage to take the decisions, regardless of any attempt or expectation to play to the gallery. This is not the time to play to the gallery, but we have to do things based on overriding public interest and be convinced, that we are doing the right thing for this country.
Of course, it's just about ensuring that all the relevant committees do their work. We need to improve the level of oversight. That is, for me, the key. Because we are here not only to work with the executive, but to ensure that they do what is right. So all those agencies that are responsible, we will make sure that we do very adequate and serious oversight on those key agencies that generate money for our own country.
Free in Nigeria, and by the passage of the PIB, which have now become an act, we are confident that the federal government will begin to have more money, and some of the leaks that was identified in the then NNPC will now be rectified so that Nigeria will have more money. So I feel that the budget is apt, and it should actually be more. Someone complained that the budget is too much, 16 trillion. I believe it should be more. I want you to look at universal declarations by the United Nations and other declarations which Nigeria is a member of. There's a specific amount, percentage of the budget that should be budgeted for education, for security, and the rest of it. And let me say this, our small countries, I don't mean insulting anyway, smaller countries in land size and population, like Chad Republic, look at their budget for security per GDP. Compare that with Nigerians' budget for security per GDP. It's lesser. We budget lesser money for our security than small countries around us. And I strongly believe that if this budget is financed, cash backed 100%, it will go a long way in the economic recovery of our country. I know you will ask about the issue of borrowing. Nigeria is not the only country that borrow money. That is the truth. I have no problem with borrowing money, as far as the money borrowed is used not to pay salaries, but actually to build infrastructure for our children and great-grandchildren that will come long after we are gone. America, as strong, as big as they are, they borrow. Look at the debt profile of America as a nation. So if America is borrowing, who are we, a developing country, that we cannot borrow to finance our infrastructure like rail, electricity, education, technology, and the rest of it? So I support that government of Nigeria should borrow. Borrow to build infrastructure, not borrow to steal.
Basically, what we have seen here is a determination of the government not to give up. A budget of a nation will continue to grow based on perspectives, based on programs and policies. We have a massive implementation of capital infrastructure going on in the country. There's a need to sustain that, and there's a need to also break new grounds. A number of new capital projects are going to be implemented. There's also the need to increase spending in some sectors, of our economy. If you take, for instance, humanitarian affairs, that is part of the reasons why this budget, got increased than what we had last year, because there's a need to further inject, fund into the ongoing programs and implement them on a larger scale. If you look at the judiciary, if you look at Human Rights Commission, if you look at various agencies of government that are getting some additional funding, this year, it's partly in response to the public outcry that they need to be better funded. But I think what is most important is to ensure that these funds are well implemented, and that we stay on course. And as to the various aspects of borrowing, part of what we're also interested in the National Assembly, is to ensure that every naira that is borrowed by this country is applied in a way that we are spending more on capital projects and not on consumables, and also to ensure that it's being spent in a way that will percolate, down the strata of the economy, and will further grow our economy and will further spend our way out of recession. All of these are important, and the need for us to also do our oversight functions as a National Assembly to ensure that Nigerians get the value for the money that they are investing through this expenditure. All of these are important.